Hey guys, my name is Matimio, and today I have taken up another challenge. You guys know me by now. I like to do all of these crazy setups that you guys recommend. It's the reason why I've done repair tool only, knife only. I've slain people with my EOD bot, basically just to keep Battlefield 3 fresh and fun. And this time, the suggestion isn't too crazy by any means, but it is the Type 88 with the Suppressor, the 4x scope, and the foregrip. And I'm assuming the thought process behind this challenge was that the Type 88 isn't a very popular weapon. Not a lot of people use it. You probably don't get slain by someone who is using the Type 88 all that often. And I think that's because a lot of people just find this weapon to be kind of lacking. And so to kind of compound that, you have me use the 4x scope, which is going to make the weapon better at taking out people at a distance, but then you kind of reel me in by using the suppressor and the foregrip, which is really only good for close to medium range combat. The suppressor is going to keep me off the mini-map, but it's going to decrease my damage at medium range, and the foregrip, while it's going to reduce my recoil a little bit, at least my side-to-side recoil, it increases my bullet spread at a distance. And so I understood what you were trying to do with this combination and also with the weapon in itself. But in all honesty, I actually love the Type 88. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it clicks with me, but whenever I use this weapon, and I don't use it very often, I'm not exactly sure why, but whenever I use it, I somehow manage to just go on some of these ridiculous kill streaks where I don't know if it's just simply because I'm getting lucky during my times where I'm using the Type 88, or I just understand how to use the weapon really well. And so I think the reason why a lot of people stray away from this weapon is for a couple of reasons. The Type 88 is on the low end for rounds per minute. It only has an RPM of 650, and while that isn't the lowest in the game by any means, if you go against someone who is using an AEK, an F2000, a M16A3 within close to medium range, you're probably not going to win that engagement simply because of your rate of fire. Like, you are going to be at a pretty substantial disadvantage. The other reason being is that this is a light machine gun, and as light machine guns go, they have a fair amount of bullet deviation, especially the further out the target goes. And so now the question kind of is, well, where does this weapon do well then? If it doesn't do well at a distance because of the large bullet deviation, and it doesn't do well because of its slow rounds per minute, how are you supposed to be effective with this gun? And I think that's where people get tripped up, and that's the reason why a lot of people just kind of avoid this weapon altogether. But that being said, the Type 88 does have some nice attributes to it, and one of them is that it has a ridiculous amount of ammunition at its disposal. It has 100 rounds stock, like that's just what it comes with, and if you slap on the extended mags, that bumps it up to 200 rounds. So if you were trying to lock down a long corridor, you're trying to suppress the enemy team, you're gonna have a lot of ammunition. Even if you're not using the extended mags, like 100 rounds is a lot to work with. So that's one nice aspect. Another nice thing is that its first initial recoil is really, really low. Like the light machine guns, that's what's nice about it. So if you know how to tap fire with this bad boy, like your recoil is almost going to be non-existent, and it kind of feels like a laser beam with at least within a medium distance. The further out the target goes, like I said, that bullet deviation does start to become a factor, but with at least within medium distance, this thing, if you know how to tap fire it correctly, it's really, really accurate. And so the way I approached this challenge was not to be Rambo. I think that way too many people out there assume that you can have the same type of play style with every single one of the weapons in Battlefield 3, and that is just simply not the case. You use the Type 88 in close encounter conflicts and you just try to run around like you're just going to take everyone out no matter what situation you come across, you're going to be in for a bad time. Like, this weapon just doesn't perform all that well within those circumstances. And every single time that I try to do that, you'll see throughout today's video that there were some times when I was just right up in there and into the thick of things right next to my target, but every single time I was in those engagements, I felt weaker. Like, I felt more insecure about the way that the weapon performed because I knew that I was at a disadvantage. But if I approach it correctly and I tried to play the medium game, like I said, it doesn't do very well up close and at long range, but at a medium distance, I find that that's kind of the sweet spot for this weapon, and that's kind of actually true for a lot of the light machine guns in here. And so what I kind of did was I worked around the map in such a way where I could put myself in a situation where I had a nice little overview of a highly trafficked area where I knew there was going to be a lot of foot traffic from infantry units, and kind of patrolled around there where I knew it was going to be some medium range engagements. I could take advantage of the suppressor, and then I just proceeded to destroy people. Like, I went on some of the most ridiculous kill streaks with this gun, and I think it's just simply contributed to the fact fact that I used it appropriately. I didn't try to go Rambo one in there. I didn't try to snipe people from across the map. I tap fired the way you're supposed to and just used the gun how it's supposed to be. All that being said though, it does look like DICE agrees with a lot of people that this is one of the weaker weapons in the game and that it does need some improvement. And so, at least from the alpha stats that we've seen, at least for a couple of the guns, the Type 88 is going to see a little bit of a buff. Its rounds per minute is going to bump up from 650 to 700, and they're also going to reduce its recoil a little bit as well. We'll kind of have to wait and see how this plays out because this is just alpha stats and we could theory craft all day what this means and how this is going to incorporate with all the other weapons, but it does look DICE is trying to make this a little bit better for the upcoming game. But that is about it for today's challenge, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you have a setup that you would like me to try next, let me know down below in the comments section, and also make sure to thumbs up the ones you would also like me to try. But until tomorrow, guys, have a good one and take it easy.